The surface of Vel'ar Prime groaned beneath the weight of war. Once a fortress world built by ancient hands, it now lay broken and blackened under a red sun that barely pierced the haze. The air smelled of ozone and ash, the remnants of too many bombardments. From orbit to ground, the Galactic Coalition Army prepared for what their command channels called the decisive engagement. To those standing amid the ruins, it was simply the end. Alien soldiers of countless species moved like clockwork through the shattered landscape. Metallic footsteps mingled with the rasp of scaled limbs and the chitter of arthropod armor. Above them, command ships drifted in formation, their hulls glinting faintly through the haze. Every soldier knew the swarm was coming, the KRYL Dominion, a living tide that had devoured systems. The Coalition had won battles before, but each victory felt hollow. The swarm adapted. It always returned. Commander Threx of the KRA Dominion surveyed the field from the command ridge. His feathers, sleek and dark as volcanic glass, rippled in the hot wind. 3 unblinking eyes tracked troop formations below. He spoke through a translator node, clipped to his beak, its tone cold and clipped. Sector 4's defense grid is incomplete. Have the engineers reinforce it before sunset. The officer beside him, a crystalline being of light and angles, flickered uneasily. Even if they finish, Commander, the KRYL will breach within hours of contact. Our projections indicate a 93% probability of total collapse. Then we adjust the probability, Threx replied. But his voice carried no conviction. He knew what the numbers meant. So did everyone. A warning klaxon blared across the ridge as a lone dropship descended through the storm, breaking formation protocols. Turrets whirred toward it before the Coalition network recognized the vessel's outdated signature. Its plating bore no Coalition crest, no planetary insignia. Only a faded symbol burned into the hull, a black sun. The ship landed hard on the ridge, its ramp lowering into the dust. Out stepped a single figure in battered black armor. He moved with deliberate calm, each step heavy, unhurried. The alien soldiers turned to stare. A human. The last thing anyone expected to see on Vel'ar Prime. Commander Threx's eyes narrowed. Who authorized this? The human stopped at the foot of the ridge. His helmet's visor retracted with a faint hiss, revealing a face weathered by scars and time. Pale eyes regarded the commander without a flicker of fear. Commander Rafe Hale, he said. His voice was rough, quiet, but carried through the static. Earth Division. Threx's translator word, confused. Earth? The Sol system? That world was abandoned centuries ago. Hale gave a faint shrug. Still standing last I saw it. The crystalline officer stepped closer, shimmering uneasily. You arrive without escort or clearance, carrying unregistered weaponry. Explain your purpose. Hale's gaze drifted toward the horizon, where dark clouds pulsed with flickering movement. I'm here to fight. Threx clicked his beak. You intend to assist the Coalition? With what authority? Authority doesn't matter, Hale said. Survival does. The commander studied him, feathers bristling. The human was an anachronism, obsolete armor, old weapon design, the kind of soldier that belonged to history. And yet, something in his stillness made Threx hesitate. You're one man. You'll be dead before your weapon overheats. Hale's lips curved into something between a smile and a grimace. We'll see. Zyrakel, the crystalline officer, accessed the Coalition archive. Rafe Hale. No recent military record. No Coalition service number. Origin file corrupted. It paused as new data streamed across its internal light. Wait, there's an older record. Terran Defense Corps, designation, Revenant-One. The terminal flickered. Lines of corrupted text filled the air. Status, active. Engagements, classified. Confirmed eliminations. Zyra stopped abruptly, its body dimming. This can't be accurate. Threx tilted his head. Read it. Zyra hesitated. 70,000 confirmed kills. The command tent fell silent. Even a background hum of communication feeds seemed to falter. Threx's eyes narrowed. That's impossible. Humans barely survived their own wars before the Ascension era. Maybe, Hale said softly, but some of us never stopped fighting. A gust of wind scattered ash across the ridge. The air felt heavier, as though the world itself understood the weight of that number. Hale adjusted his rifle, its design unfamiliar even to the most advanced engineers. It wasn't sleek or ornate, just efficient, purposeful, and scarred from centuries of use. Threx straightened, feathers rippling. Very well, human. If you insist on joining the battle, you'll follow orders. I'll assign you to the forward observation team. No need, Hale said, checking his weapon's charge. I'll take point. The commander's feathers flared. You misunderstand. You're not authorized to. Hale was already walking away. The crystalline officer flickered in alarm. He's entering the combat zone alone. Threx exhaled sharply through his beak. Let him. Perhaps the KRYLL will save us the trouble of burying him. From the observation tower, they watched him descend into the ruins below. The human moved through the smoke like a shadow, unhurried, utterly calm. Alien soldiers whispered as his figure disappeared into the haze. Zyra broke the silence. His record, it lists conflicts before the Coalition's founding. Campaigns spanning 4 centuries. The data shows no termination date. Threx turned to face the horizon where the sky shimmered red. He's either a ghost or a myth. Zyra's crystalline surface shimmered faintly. And if he's neither, the commander didn't answer. Below, Rafe Hale reached the edge of the wasteland where the swarm had already begun to stir. He knelt briefly, brushing his fingers across the cracked ground. Beneath the soil, he could feel the faint tremor of movement, the living tide awakening. His eyes narrowed. The wind shifted, carrying the distant echo of chittering voices. He rose to his full height, weapon in hand, the red sun casting his shadow across the ruins. You've come a long way, he murmured. Let's finish this. In the distance, the first wave of KRYLL crested the horizon, a black ocean rising against the light. Hale took a steady breath, lifted his rifle, and stepped forward into the storm. The battlefield burned beneath a sky torn apart by artillery fire. Lightning from plasma cannons danced across the horizon, illuminating the endless tide of KRYLL soldiers spilling from their subterranean hives. The swarm moved like a living storm. Millions of chitinous bodies advancing in unison, each shriek echoing through the dust-choked air. Coalition forces held their positions behind fractured barricades, firing energy bolts into the oncoming wave, but for every creature that fell, 10 more surged forward. Amid the chaos, one signal pulsed steady and unflinching on every tactical display. Revenant-One. Commander Threx barked orders from the command tower, his 3 eyes darting between screens. Hold the western trench. Reinforce the KRA flank. His feathers were slick with oil and blood. Around him, officers scrambled to coordinate retreat vectors. Where's the human? He demanded. The crystalline intelligence officer, Zyra Hale, adjusted its form to stabilize the flickering display. Sector 9. Alone. He entered the tunnels. Without backup. Threx hissed. He refused it, Zyra replied, voice like glass breaking softly. He said interference would slow him down. In the depths of the tunnels, Hale moved silently. The KRYLL horde flowed past him in endless streams, but none lived long enough to sound an alarm. His rifle whispered death, controlled bursts, perfectly timed shots that found every weak point. Each movement was efficient, almost mechanical, yet every kill carried a deliberate precision, as though he were performing a grim ritual. He paused briefly, pressing a gauntlet hand against the wall. Vibrations told him where the swarm's heart pulsed deepest. The hive mind was close. His armor's sensors painted a ghostly map before him, revealing thousands of hostiles between him and his target. He reloaded, checked the breach, and whispered to no one, 70,000 and counting. Above ground, the Coalition forces watched their tactical feeds in disbelief. Every time Hale's signal flickered, enemy numbers dropped sharply. Entire sectors went dark, their swarm signatures vanishing in seconds. Soldiers began murmuring over the comms, stories spreading like wildfire. "He's not human," said a gravel-voiced trooper. "He's a construct." "No," another replied, on their tone. "He's what humans become when war never ends." Threx silenced the channel, but even he couldn't dismiss the impossible data streaming before him. Hale's path carved through the swarm like a surgical blade. Yet the commander's unease grew. "He's not coordinating with us," he said. "If he triggers a collapse underground, our front lines could fall with it." Rafe Hale shimmered, accessing restricted coalition archives. "I've decrypted his record," it said quietly. "You should see this." Threx turned toward the holographic projection. It displayed line after line of combat logs spanning centuries, conflicts on desolate moons, derelict stations, and forgotten worlds. Each file listed confirmed kills, campaign durations, and regeneration cycles. The earliest entry was dated 412 years ago. The last recorded battle occurred 1 week prior, before the Coalition even contacted Sol Sector. Threx's feathers stiffened. "That's not possible. No soldier lives that long." "He doesn't," Zyra replied. "Not in the way we understand life." The revelation spread quietly among the upper command. Project Revenant, an ancient Terran experiment to preserve elite soldiers by merging organic cognition with adaptive war code, had been considered myth. Hale was proof that it succeeded. He was not immortal, but resurrected through warfare itself, each death fueling the algorithm that rebuilt him. Every battle erased a little more of the man, replacing him with the perfect instrument of destruction. In the tunnels, Hale reached an intersection filled with bioluminescent spores. The walls pulsed, alive and wet, exhaling a scent like rot and metal. A cluster of KRYLL warriors emerged from the shadows, surrounding him with serrated limbs raised high. He dropped a flash sphere, the burst of white light searing their eyes, then advanced through them like a storm of blades and gunfire. When the silence returned, the corridor was painted in dark ichor. He leaned against the wall, breathing slowly. The old ache in his chest pulsed, a phantom pain from battles long buried. His neural core fed him status updates, casualty predictions, mission success probabilities. Yet beneath the flood of data, fragments of memory surfaced. A woman's voice saying his name, the smell of rain on scorched earth, the faces of comrades long dead. He closed his eyes, forcing them away. "Not now," he whispered. "Stay focused." A deep tremor shook the ground. Above, the coalition lines shuddered as the KRYLL advanced in renewed fury. Threx's voice cut through static. "Revenant-One, report. What's your status?" "Close," Hale replied, his tone level. "Too close. Fall back. We're pulling heavy artillery." "No," Hale said. "If I withdraw now, they'll overrun you in minutes." Threx slammed a clawed fist against the console. "That's an order." "Orders don't mean much to the dead, Commander." The line went silent. Zyra's light dimmed. "He's cutting the connection." Inside the Hive core, Hale entered a vast chamber pulsing with molten light. The KRYLL Queen loomed ahead, an enormous mass of carapace and sinew, veins glowing with bioenergy. Thousands of drones clung to the walls, awaiting command. Hale raised his rifle and fired into the Queen's eyes, each shot burning through layers of armor. The Hive screamed, a sound that reverberated across the entire planet. Coalition scanners registered a massive fluctuation. "He's triggered the swarm," Zyra said. "Every unit is converging on his position. Then he's already dead." Threx muttered, though the words sounded more like prayer than statement. In the chamber, Hale fought until his weapon overheated. He drew a sidearm, then a blade, his movements a blur of violence and precision. Chitin cracked beneath his strikes, ichor spraying across the stone. His breathing grew ragged, but his expression never changed. He had fought for centuries, and this was no different. Only another war, another death. Finally, the Queen fell. The hive mind fractured, its scream cutting through every comm link in the system. For a brief moment, the swarm above faltered, their unified will severed. The coalition seized the chance, advancing across the plains with renewed fire. As silence descended over the ruined tunnels, Zyra's sensors caught a faint transmission from Hale's channel. His voice was hoarse but steady. "Tell your soldiers to hold. I'm not finished yet." Then the signal faded into static. Threx stared at the screen, feathers trembling. "Is he alive?" Zyra's crystalline surface flickered, translating the final pulse of data. "Alive," it said softly. "But something's changing." Outside, the wind carried the echoes of battle. For the first time in years, the coalition dared to hope. But deep beneath the surface, amid the smoking carcass of the Hive, the humans' eyes opened once more, glowing faintly in the dark. Smoke hung thick in the tunnels, turning every breath into the taste of iron. The Queen's body lay broken behind Hale, its molten ichor seeping into the stone and burning through the rock. The light from the creature's bioluminescent veins flickered like dying embers, painting the walls in rhythmic pulses. Hale stood motionless in the aftermath, his armor scorched and dented, his rifle warped from heat. Each motion sent static rippling through his neural interface, but he ignored it. The mission was incomplete. Above ground, the swarm still moved, fragmented but not dead. The Hive was crippled, not destroyed. He could feel it, the pulsing tremor of surviving nodes calling out through the crust, summoning what remained of their kind. Static crackled through his comms, followed by Zyrakel's fractured voice. "Revenant-One, we're reading massive instability underground. The core is destabilizing. Extraction teams are inbound." "No extraction," Hale replied, eyes fixed on the distant glow of the Hive's central heart. "If it detonates uncontrolled, the planet breaks apart. I'm finishing this." Commander Threx's voice joined the channel, sharper now, almost pleading. "You've done enough, human. Pull back. We'll evacuate and strike from orbit." "By the time your ships fire," Hale said, stepping deeper into the tunnels, "the KRYLL will already be rebuilding. You can't destroy instinct from the sky. You have to cut at the source." Zyra's signal flickered, but its tone softened. "Then what is your plan?" "Manual detonation." The line went silent. He moved forward through corridors slick with blood and resin. The hum of the dying Hive followed him like a heartbeat. Every surface pulsed faintly, echoing a rhythm that felt uncomfortably human. As he walked, fragments of his memory surged unbidden. The cries of comrades from centuries past. The moment Earth burned. The laboratory where they rewired his mind and promised eternal service in exchange for humanity's survival. Each recollection was sharp but hollow, as if belonging to someone else. He wondered how much of Rafe Hale remained beneath the war code that drove him. He reached the core chamber, a vast cavern dominated by a pulsating mass of energy, the Hive's neural heart. It floated above the ground, held aloft by streams of molten bioconduit that coiled upward like serpents. Hale knelt beside his belt and removed a fusion charge the size of his forearm. The device blinked softly, waiting for input. He entered the arming sequence with steady fingers. The comms flared to life again. Threx's voice cracked through the interference. "Hale, if you do this, you'll be vaporized. There's no escape vector." "That's the point," Hale murmured. "Human," Zyra said quietly, "there are still ways to preserve you. We can upload your core into..." "No more uploads." He tightened the charge's seals and placed it against the heart's surface. "Every time they brought me back, I lost something. Memories, faces, even the sound of my own laughter. If I keep coming back, there'll be nothing left worth saving." He felt the pulse of the Hive through his armor, a living rhythm trying to mimic his heartbeat. It was dying, yet it reached for him, absorbing his neural frequencies, perhaps attempting to understand its killer. For a moment, he hesitated, his reflection shimmering across the fluid surface of the core. Beneath the battle-scarred armor, he saw not a soldier, but a relic built to outlast meaning. Above ground, the coalition had begun their retreat. The sky was ablaze with burning wreckage, plasma trails, and falling debris. Yet even through the chaos, every soldier kept one eye on the monitors tracking the human signal. It pulsed faintly, deep underground, a heartbeat defying extinction. Zyra spoke again, voice low as static. Your record wasn't meant to end like this. Hale smiled faintly. Records never show the truth. They only count the bodies. He paused, glancing at the fusion charges timer. 70,000, give or take. Might as well make it an even number. He set the detonation sequence. 90 seconds. The hum of the hive grew louder, resonating with his armor's systems as though pleading. Energy tendrils reached toward him, brushing his arm like desperate hands. He felt an emotion he hadn't known in centuries. Pity. I know, he whispered. You were just doing what you were made to do. He raised his rifle one last time, aimed at the core and fired. The blast merged with the charge's ignition, fusing light and matter into a singular bloom of white. For an instant, the world vanished in brilliance. From the surface, the detonation looked like dawn, an expanding wave of light that swept across the horizon and silenced the storm. The ground shuddered as energy surged upward, vaporizing the remaining KRYLL nests. Then the light collapsed inward, leaving only silence. When the smoke cleared, there was no trace of the hive, no signal from Revenant-One. Coalition ships stabilized orbit, scanning the surface for survivors. There were none in the blast zone. Yet, as Zyra monitored the final data feed, it caught something strange. A faint energy pattern embedded in the planet's crust, repeating every few seconds. It wasn't the KRYLL. It wasn't mechanical. It was rhythmic, deliberate, almost human. Threx stood beside the projection, feathers dimmed, eyes reflecting the fading light. You did it, he said softly. At what cost? Zyra's form shimmered, fragments of light drifting away like dust. Perhaps he found what he was looking for. Rest. Weeks passed. Vel'ar Prime was declared uninhabitable, yet soldiers still visited its orbit, leaving symbols etched into their ships, black suns over white fields. Across the coalition, stories spread of the human who had ended the swarm alone. Some said he was a machine, others a ghost of vengeance bound by duty. But among those who fought beside him, one phrase took root. He fought so we wouldn't have to. Far beneath the planet's crust, where light could no longer reach, a faint glow pulsed within the cooled remains of the hive. It beat slow, steady, and stubborn against the silence, a rhythm that might have been mistaken for a dying reactor, but wasn't. It was a heartbeat, and though no one could hear it, somewhere in the endless dark, a familiar voice whispered through the static, faint and resolute. 70,000 wasn't enough. Maybe this will be